So it all started back when the Ice Age, after that stupid Forsaken squirrel that wanted to eat those acorns finally decided to eat it. After that, the Manny noticed a little something was off. Even though the snow comes back, even when it starts to melt, the ice was melting way more frequently, and even the same thing for snow. And it was very warm. And so he was in North America, and you can see that this is a subcontinent underwater, really, that existed. And there's Zealandia. And there is a massive difference. So Peaches had migrated upward into here, Alaska, but it nearly went away. And so he migrated the other way. So during the Ice Age, he was located there. And he was in North America, and he traveled to South America, where he met the human tribes. And they realized, since they had already started to understand, that he was getting really warm and everything was melting. And so they realized that he might need trim. And since they helped him, and since Manny helped him a long time ago, they decided to trim off his fur, which did kind of hurt him, but he didn't mind. And although it nearly killed him when they polished his tusks and cut him off, it hurt him really, really bad. And it hurt him so bad that he literally almost died. But they helped him with good food, and so after that they helped him sail the ocean, and he was able to migrate into Africa, which was a great opportunity for him since Africa had warmed up, and he was one of the first African elephants to ever exist. And let's check out what happened after the Ice Age and how animals evolved. Well, it started with the great famous seals in the Arctic had evolved due to climate change. They adapted to the more of the warmth and a lot of water melting. But actually, the first was an eel. So the eel formed, and the seas were warmed up. So then came the seals, and then came walruses. They formed in another part of the Arctic where it was even warmer. And somehow, near North America, moles happened to evolve in the warmer areas. And let's just say that tigers formed in jungles of Africa. And the same thing happened for silverback gorillas. So silverbacks and just normal gorillas formed in the African jungles. And it was pretty cool. And then iguanas formed in South America and Africa for being very famous for their watery adventure. And then we can see that kangaroos also formed in Australia. They formed in the dry areas of Australia, though. The same thing happened for, South America. There was giant salamanders. And underwater, giant isopods formed in deep seas. But also in North America, formed near these birch trees were some turkeys. They were also famous for North American cave snakes, where there was grass forming, but due to the caves of the snakes nearly keeping the grass out, You can see that there are some space, but there's also some water in the cave. And they like climbing. You can see that later, a couple months, maybe a year later, hippos formed. And followed by the flamingo in North America. I think it was like 2 years after that. And then we get the famous red pandas. Had formed North America, Africa, stuff like that. And then my favorite animal in Africa, giraffes. And then the more African elephants had evolved over time. Now we're going to check out what the continents look like, starting off with Asia. So let's travel to Asia, and it is right over here. Okay, now we're getting pulled over here. Let's check out Asia. So Asia is looking pretty cool. It's got tigers, pandas, and it looks super cool. Now let's travel to Africa and see what could be so cool about Africa. Africa's got a whole bunch of jungle trees. Part of the Sahara, Nile River. We can see that there's giraffes, African elephants, and lions. Now let's go travel to North America / where I live, because I live in North America. Then we have moose. And let's travel to South America, where the rain really, really pours at. There are a lot of rainforests like the Amazon that have dodos and as many birds as you can think of. Now let's travel to Antarctica. Antarctica is almost the exact same, except it heated up a little bit, causing penguins to finally be acclimate. Europe, it doesn't really have much, but Australia's got kangaroos. And now let's check out human civilization. What are humans doing in Africa and Asia and all the continents? Well, they found out how to live in stone houses, and a little bit after that, they learned how to use fires and make cooking supplies, and also learned how to make weapons and store food to be very safe and healthy, and cook it. So then let's go to the earliest civilization, which is the Egyptian areas. So they had armor, and they trained people with languages, and there was just a whole bunch of fun stuff in the pyramid. And then now let's check out China. China's also very ancient. First, they built the Great Wall of China because it started with China, or Empire of Qing, and the Mongol Empire was going to attack them, and so they needed some sort of defense, so they built the Great Wall of China to protect them. And during that time, they invented gunpowder, and then silk and paper. They also invented Kung Fu a couple of years later. And let's go to Maya. They invented this little stuff. It was like their capital or whatever. They invented popcorn, and then they invented burritos and chocolate. And chocolate was so valuable to them that they made it their currency. Now let's travel all the way to India. They invented yoga first, but they also invented numbers, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is and they also invented toilets. But they looked like this, and I wouldn't want to sit there. Let's go to Greece. They invented the Olympics in Olympia, Greece. Now let's go to Rome. They were famous for their architecture, but in 476 AD, Rome was attacked, and Rome wasn't really so famous anymore because most of their famous architecture was destroyed. But now let's go to North America, which they thought was North America for a little bit, or which way they thought was Africa because of how warm it was in North America at the time, like the Wild West, like Texas. They decided to build prisons and horse drinking areas and a salon. I don't really have decorations in it right now, but I built it. And it was pretty cool and famous until Christopher Columbus goes to North America while he thought he was going to India. Some people say he discovered it and he mapped it out because most people in North America thought it was either Africa or Asia. And so they realized they were in a completely new continent and they didn't even know. Then we have Viking Age. He went in these little boats. Now let's go to medieval times. Medieval times, why did I just say that? I went to medieval times before. They made thrones and areas, and they had peasants that were farming food for everyone. And the same thing had happened for horses. But in 1803, if we travel there, they invented the steam engine trains, which they do get a little aggressive because they use it in war too. So let's drive the train. I'm going to put it on lowest speed so it can actually steam through. So you can see it goes and goes and goes. And now let's explore camera in 1816. Can't build that. Dynamite, 1866. TNT award. Typewriter, 1876. 1876, a couple weeks or months later, it was the phone. And then the light bulb, 1879. It's kind of surprising that the phone is older than the light bulb. And that's all for this one's video. Please subscribe. And like I said in one of my videos, it's going to be a face reveal if I get 100,000 subscribers. Then 1 million, then 10 million. And I want to surprise them with my family with plaques. So I can just be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so famous now, aren't I? And they're going to be like, yeah, you are. And then everyone's going to be watching me. And I'm going to be like... And I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to be like, hey, guys, I have 100,000 subscribers, and I brought my plaque to school. And they're like, oh, my gosh, no way. And I'm going to go, blah, 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 blah. Okay. See you guys soon.